And now welcome back for the NFC picks. Divisional round. Bill's got some bias in here. He's very excited. Let's start with this. Go back to September 2022. Seems to be years ago. What were you thinking on the Saturday before, or maybe the Sunday in the morning? You're thinking about your New York Giants starting this 2022 season. New coach, same quarterback. Saquon Barkley healthy. What were you thinking was the what was your expectations for the year?
I was expecting for them to just get rookies experience. Just hopefully the guys that they pick, they've had some good hits with their draft picks in recent years, but no like standout studs, just serviceable players, play out their first contract, maybe get one extension, and then they move on to another team. So nothing really notable. So it was a year you were going to say, let's see how this coaches. Let's see how these young guys are, Thibodeau and things like that. Maybe kind of see how Daniel Jones is. Last hurrah probably with him, I would assume. And get unless it was 3 wins, you keep going with Dable, right? Unless it's like extremely horrific, like Dable doesn't even know what he's doing, like what's his loses
name?
The locker room.
Yeah, like Hackett, in Denver, where you're just like, oh no, this is bad, right? But that obviously that didn't happen. But like you were thinking, okay, as long as that doesn't happen, Daniel Jones is probably going to just keep Daniel Jonesing the way he's been playing. It's going to be okay. Saquon Barkley's going to be great, but it's just a running back. Hopefully Thibodeau is good. You win 6 to 7 games, and then you're throwing your hat into a first round quarterback next year. Is that kind of the thought?
Hopefully wouldn't have to do a first round pick.
Yeah,
with the quarterback. Hopefully they could find Mr. Irrelevant. That would be serviceable. But
yes. Everyone hopes they could find. Everyone hopes they can find Tom Brady or Brock Purdy or whomever. Yes, or yeah. So, but now, 4 months later, 4 or 5 months later, you're watching them beat the Vikings on Sunday and go to the divisional round to play against the Eagles. You're just here for the ride, huh? You're just having fun.
This is a winnable game too.
I know.
This is definitely a winnable game.
Yeah.
And they're on borrowed time.
I know.
This season doesn't owe them anything. They could have easily missed the playoffs, had the 12th pick overall, and just called it even. Said, see you next year.
Yeah. This season's already gone 2 weeks over. Even just making the playoffs for you is like, I feel like the only reason why you thought, we could win this game is, they're playing the Vikings. You knew the Vikings are vulnerable. You knew that they could win it. And you're like, well, maybe, if they lined up as the 7th seed against the Niners, you'd be like, all right, guys, that was fun. That was a fun season. We made the playoffs. Congratulations. But it was against the Vikings, and you're like, they're not as good as they seem. And then they weren't. And now the Giants are here, and you're kind of like, the Eagles aren't as good as they seem.
Especially if Hurts is actually hurt. If his shoulder is not good. And they can get to him early in this game. Yeah. If they can get to him, put him on the ground a couple times, maybe it starts to inflame, aggravate him. It's hard to heavily rely on a running game when you can't throw the ball.
Yeah. We all know, as much as they say establish a run. Hey, throwing touchdown passes is still better than establishing a run. And the Eagles, the Eagles could just have it all put together. I see this game going one of two ways. Like, the Eagles have this all put together, and it could just be them suffocating the Giants just based on better talent, better quarterback play, just consistent, level-headed play. But what we've seen from Hurts is, a few more turnovers, a few more chances. And if the Giants get those chances, Brian Daboll looks like he's been really good at keeping Daniel Jones away from those turnovers and staying in the game. It really just comes into who gets to play their game.
and who gets thrown off, because both these guys are really susceptible to it. You're looking at Hurts, as great as a season as he has. He's still just a third-year quarterback that's only played one playoff game, and that wasn't very great either. As it comes to the spread, I'm going to take the Giants with the points, but I do still think the Eagles will win.
Yeah, I'm with you. Right now it's at 7.5. The Eagles are giving up that many points, and the over-under is at 48. I think that's what the Buffalo game was too, pretty much. Yeah, I think that Philadelphia squeaks out a win. I don't think they look good while doing it. I think that with a Giants loss, they're going to lose in a very nervous fashion, where they had them on the ropes. Maybe they give up a couple late scores. They might even have, 14 points leading in the third, give that up, and then just not be able to capitalize down the stretch. So Philadelphia wins. I think they do cover, but I think that they did it as the Giants just fell apart. The mojo runs out, and Philadelphia squeaks out one. But also with this, the NFC East has a 50% chance of getting to the Super Bowl now.
Hey, I mean, as of right now, it's a 75% chance, right?
Only the only way that it's not 100% is if San Francisco loses, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's automatically 50% right now.
It's automatically, yep.
Yeah, and I don't think that they will, actually. The three teams in the NFC East versus the 49ers, we're going to see how it comes. So Philadelphia is probably going to take it, but that's the game to look forward to. I'm excited about that one. That's probably, outside of being all these games are really good. All these games are really good. This seems like a fun. I really hope Jacksonville puts up a fight. I hope New York puts up a fight. I feel like those are the most susceptible to blowouts. Where maybe the Giants' magic just runs out and they're just outclassed. And same thing with Jacksonville. Like they're the most concerned teams, I would say. But
so
I think it'll be close.
Talking about, the new show, that 90s show.
Yeah.
Is this not the most mid-90s playoff contention that there is?
Yeah.
Besides Jacksonville.
Jacksonville wasn't bad, right? In the 90s either.
Yeah.
They beat in what was it, man? I'll always remember this. As a Bills fan, you remember this. Dan Marino's last game was a loss to the Mark Brunell-led Jacksonville Jaguars, 62-7 in the divisional round. So you remember that one if you're a Bills fan. And hey, that was the 90s. So Jacksonville was not bad in the late 90s. But yeah, this is kind of a 90s thing here. I don't know about the Chiefs. They were okay in the early 90s with Joe Montana. They lost to Buffalo in an AFC Championship one of those times, and I don't know too much about the Eagles, but Giants, Niners, Cowboys, Bills, even Bengals, those are some 90s teams. Yeah, late 80s, early 90s. And you know what? If Buffalo does make the Super Bowl, they've only played NFC East teams in the Super Bowl. So no matter what happens, if Buffalo makes a Super Bowl, whatever team they play against is a really interesting team historically. That's a fun thing because they were always predicted that it would be Niners, Bills, and it never was. And then the other three teams are NFC East teams, which Giants they lost to, Dallas they lost to twice. The only one they haven't lost to is the Eagles. So, you know what? Let's line it up. Bills, Eagles, Bills lose. Then the Bills got the clean sweep from the NFC East.
We had Randall Cunningham was
he was good.
That early 90.
Were the Eagles that good with him 90s. Or they were a little better? Because Cunningham was great with the Vikings with Moss and Carter. He was always good.
They had definitely a revolving door at some point. Some injuries and struggled, but he's serviceable. Took him to second in the division multiple times during that stretch. just to be behind either Dallas or the Giants.
I know he has one of the most ridiculous plays against the Bills. I think it was like a 98-yard touchdown pass where he like ducks under Bruce Smith and then heaves a touchdown. Unbelievable. Like dodges in the pocket and then heaves a 98-yard touchdown pass. Unbelievable. Let's see now let's go to the last game of the weekend. 6:30 p.m. Niners Cowboys. This game, the Cowboys can do it. But do they have? They had their good game last week. And the Cowboys have had good games. It's interesting. The Cowboys have shown out as a team that can really, step up to anyone. But they've also just completely collapsed in games. Some of these teams have always just kind of been there. Like Buffalo, always been there. Kansas City, always been there. Cincinnati, I feel like always is there. They never just like fall out of games completely. Dallas has the ability to compete with them, but then, loses the Commanders in a really weird game. It's like, what just happened to you? You got handled by the Commanders, not just loses to them. I'm going to do 49ers, and I'm going to take the points because I think it's a higher chance that the Niners just handle the Cowboys, but they have the ability to step up and beat them. I'm not surprised about the 4. I guess they're just betting on something like that to happen, but I can see the Cowboys just getting blown out of the stadium as well.
Yeah, this is the closest matchup out of the 4.
That's unbelievable.
The over-under sits at 46. So a little bit more the most conservative game by far, according to the Vegas lines. This one, offenses are very similar. Dallas was 14th and 9th in passing and rushing, while San Francisco was 13th and 8th. I think the big player there, it's going to be Pollard versus Christian McCaffrey basically in this game. Defenses also very similar, flip-flop on who's better at rush or pass defense, but they both were high in the league with the takeaway differentials. So they were able to secure a lot of turnovers throughout the season. San Francisco was first with plus 13. So I think it's a pretty evenly matched game. I am actually, we might need to flip a coin because I'm taking Dallas.
Wow.
I think that with the Giants mojo running out of steam, I think the Purdy train is going to kind of screech to a halt.
There is the chance of that. Like when does that party end? Or did when they dominated the Buccaneers, did he take all of the Tom Brady goodness, the magic of Tom Brady, and now it goes to Mr. Irrelevant for the 49ers, and now he's going to ride his wave right to the Super Bowl? I don't know. Yeah, there's a chance. There's a chance that he falls out, and hey, if anyone can help him find the way to being not, being taken out of it, it's Micah Parsons. He's a great pass rusher, and that's a huge battle that you see. Who gets home more? Who puts more pressure on Nick Bosa or Micah Parsons, and which quarterback can handle that better? Dak's obviously a veteran, much more experienced, the oldest quarterback remaining. Dak Prescott in the playoffs. He's 29. I don't know. Yeah, we might have to flip the coin. I'm not moving off of the Niners. You stated your case, but I just see them. I see them personally right now as the best team in football. Actually, I'm gonna trust Purdy.
So okay. Let's take it to coaches then.
Okay.
Shanahan or McCarthy? Who do you want?
Shanahan. I might not want anyone other than Shanahan. Shanahan might be my, if I'm starting a team with if we're doing fantasy draft and I had the first overall pick of the coaches, I think I take Shanahan over every other coach.
Think he gets it done?
I think he does. Do
you think he is the difference maker though?
Shanahan.
No, in this game though. Do you think that it comes down to Purdy's shoulders, or do you think it comes down to play calling and clock management?
I think play calling and clock management can keep it off of Purdy's shoulders, and I think Shanahan can do that.
I think he can call plays to make sure that Micah Parsons doesn't just ruin Purdy for the day, because he's the type of player that could do it. Great pass rushers can make a quarterback, even great quarterbacks, just look so pedestrian for one afternoon. I've seen it happen a bunch of times. We saw Von Miller do it to, we saw Von Miller do it to Cam Newton. In like 2015, Cam Newton MVP just looks like nothing out there all of a sudden because Super Bowl MVP Von Miller made it a nightmare. I saw TJ Watt do it to Josh Allen last year. They can do it, but I think it's up to the coach to keep the quarterback out of harm's way and to keep it off of them. They don't rely on him too much, and I think that Parsons can't shut down McCaffrey. He can't shut down Deebo Samuel. They don't have great cornerbacks, and I think they're gonna. I think they'll keep it off of his shoulders. I think Purdy will be able to pull it out.
What about with
and a Dak turnover game? Yeah, hey, he had a great game last week, but a Dak turnover game is always a possibility as well, which would make the team not even close. If Dak comes out and throws 2 picks, the 49ers aren't going to make mistakes like that. They just don't do that.
Yeah, I think that if Garoppolo was starting in San Francisco, I think that this line is probably in a similar fashion as the Buffalo and Philadelphia games, where it's sitting around 6 points.
So you think people just don't trust Purdy, even though he's shown to have better numbers than Garoppolo so far?
Yeah, just the experience. I think he's just on a runner's high.
Yeah.
I think that the same thing happened to kind of Burrow. I think that, he had a lot of momentum and it carried him, and it was actually worked out in their favor that they met a Kansas City team that was beat up and run down at that point. But I think that Burrow's better than Purdy. He has the pedigree that Purdy didn't necessarily have. And I just don't see him staying up at this high level for that long during these important games.
All right. I don't know if John wants to give it to him. John should be listening. I don't know if he wants to give us the tie break on this. I'm all Niners, Bill's all Cowboys. And if he's not here,
I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Oh. Yeah.
Shanaman. Kyle Shanaman.
Shanaman himself. All right, so John's calling 49ers. We'll go with the 49ers for it. Well, then let's do the championship then. And you know what? I'll give you this. Why don't we do the championship with both? So we both agreed on Philadelphia. We got the Niners. Who do you have, Philadelphia Niners?
This is kind of goes back to the Buffalo game. If Hurts comes out and he looks healthy against the Giants, I think that Philadelphia can beat the 49ers. But if he looks a little beat up, or if the Giants can get to him and hurt him even more, then I think that it's the 49ers all day. So I think it really rests on what kind of Hurts shows up.
Depends on what you saw against the Giants.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. And then, wouldn't you even say the same thing about it? How does Brock Purdy look? I mean, what would be funny is if Brock Purdy looks bad, but Dak has a bad game, they pull it out. They both look sloppy. And what if it's all just sloppy? Philly looks sloppy, Purdy looks sloppy, and then you show up. I guess the one big thing is that the shoulder doesn't just magically get better in a week if it hasn't gotten better in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that in that case, I'm taking San Francisco's defense. Definitely. I think that San Francisco's defense can lock Philadelphia down if Hurts isn't at 100%.
Yeah. I'll go with San Francisco as well, and that's I've already said it. I think that they're the best. I might take them as the Super Bowl favorites. I know a lot of people are giving it to Kansas City and Buffalo, but that AFC is such a gauntlet. It seems like such a pain for them to make it all the way there, and then once either of those teams face San Francisco, especially Kansas City, they're not that well-rounded, and they got to go up against a team like the Niners, who just seem like they can rely on so many different players to do it. I mean, that's really just the team versus the man at that point. Like, could Allen or Mahomes just will their team over a defense that's good, an offense that's dynamic and mistake
mistake free, that does everything in so many different ways. Could they really just overpower them because it's football, it's the NFL in the 2020s, and it's all about the quarterback, so they've got the quarterback to do it, right? That's going to be an amazing thing. Now, let's do Dallas and Philadelphia, since you said it that way. What if Hurts looks bad against the Giants and Dallas pulls it out against the Niners?
I would have to go with Dallas at that point. I think basically it's either going to be the 49ers or Dallas in the Super Bowl. I think that if Philadelphia wins or the Giants win, it's still going to be that bottom bracket. I think that the defense for Dallas and that run game, I think that Zeke has an opportunity to shine since he's been so quiet, and Pollard has definitely taken the limelight when it comes to that backfield. But they do have a 1-2 punch that could really wear a team down, especially in the playoffs. And the run game is so critical to at least establish the passing game when it's this high of a competition level.
Okay. What if Hurts looks good? What if Hurts looks fully healed, throws, 2 touchdown passes, rushes another, and they just kind of handle the Giants? You don't think that he can step up against the Niners or against the Cowboys even?
I suppose he could, but I'm still taking. I think the difference in that game with Philadelphia is that the 1-2 punch from Zeke and Pollard.
Okay. I might just stick with the however Hurts looks. Does Hurts look ready for the prime time, for the big games? Does he look healthy as well? Both of those. If he can look great against the Giants, then it could tip the scales even against the Niners, but definitely against Dallas, because I think Dallas is too inconsistent. They have good players. They have a good team. I don't think that they have a great coach. I don't think McCarthy is a good coach. I think Prescott can be a very good quarterback, but he can also have a Josh Allen type of day where he just throws 2 picks and 3 picks or something like that, and he just doesn't have it. And he hasn't shown to, step up in big games. He's not like known as a clutch superstar or anything like that. He's not Mahomes, who's kind of proven to do that. Even Allen has proven to do that a bit more. So I just don't see. I would be very shocked if Dallas is in the Super Bowl. I would probably pick Philadelphia. I would pick Philadelphia and San Francisco to outplay Dallas in that situation.
Yeah, I think that. I think with what I saw in the last game of the season, where Giants were playing their second string versus Philadelphia, that was still vying for that number 1 spot to get the bye. I don't know how well his shoulder heals in a week. I think that he's going to look very limited against the Giants. I still think that the Giants could win that game. And at that point, then it really, if the Giants do win, then whoever, San Francisco or Dallas, is going to just run right over the top of them. So I'm not sold on Philadelphia even making it past this round.
Wow.
And they got a lot of injuries.
But if Minshew was starting, you would just assume he would bring out his inner Uncle Rico, and a Super Bowl is inevitable, right? That's where we're at with that. I assume we agree there.
I mean, if that was the case, then I think I'd have to take Trevor Lawrence against him.
It'd be the only
battle
way.
Of the flow and the headbands.
It would be the only way. They would both come out on the field in jean shorts and flowy hair with the headbands and thick mustaches.
Slamming Miller Lights.
Yeah. I mean, what's his name? Minshew's the type of quarterback. He's the type of quarterback that has a beer on the sideline. We all know that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's got that fake Barbasol can.
You know what's funny is seeing him is I remember seeing photos of him recently, or maybe it was just him warming up or something like that. And like as funny as it is, he even did like a whole thing with Uncle Rico. Like he actually made a little sketch with him and everything like that, and how funny all of it is. And then if you step back and look at it, you're like, oh, he's still an NFL quarterback. He's still like, and he's not bad either. He's like still a decent NFL quarterback. He's like in great shape. He's like muscular and everything. Like you kind of forget. You feel like he would look more like Uncle Rico, but he's still a pro football player. So it kind of shocks me every time I realize that he still is like in shape and capable as he actually is. This is kind of amazing. He's really primed. You know, we lost one of the best backup quarterbacks this last year. He retired, Ryan Fitzpatrick. Don't worry. The greatest backup quarterback in the NFL is in good hands, and I think it's going to be Gardner Minshew because he still looked pretty good in that Dallas-Philadelphia game. He did not lose that game. That loss was not because of him. So I'm excited for his future. I'd love for him to find his way onto the Bills maybe next year. That'd be a really nice thing for me, just as a Bills fan and a Minshew fan in general.
Who's your backup from?
Case Keenum. The greatest.
He's pretty good too.
Yeah. He is good. He is a greatest college football quarterback freaking ever. He had like 3 5,000-yard passing seasons. That's delightful. All right, those are our picks. Oh, wait, did we come to a consensus? What's our consensus of Super Bowl, most probable Super Bowl? San Francisco. Okay, so we agree that San Francisco is the most likely, but you're picking Dallas over San Francisco in that situation. All right.
Yeah.
Well, those are our picks. San Francisco and Buffalo in the Super Bowl. Philly, San Francisco making the next level. Kansas City, Buffalo making the next level. And we'll see you next week to do the championship games. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.